What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? It's Byron at ETA Wheels, and today we're going to replace a brake pedal position switch. So, step one, if you're 6'4", take the front seat out. It's literally 2 bolts and a wiring harness, which is tucked up under there. That's it. That's all. Then you're going to remove these 2 panels. I'm assuming if you've gotten this far, you probably don't need my help for that. I'd like to believe you don't. So, this little bastard right up here is a brake pedal position switch. And mine shit the bed. Again, this happens regularly. So, by taking the seat out, it makes it so you can lay in here if you're tall. If you're short, don't worry, it doesn't apply to you. So, what you can't see is there's a 10mm bolt on here, and I can't remember where. It's up here at the top, where it's of course absolutely inconvenient, but right up here at the top there's a 10mm bolt, or maybe it's 8mm, I can't remember. I'll figure it out when I get in there. But pop this clip and you can move the brake lever around and get you some space. Then you're going to take that bolt out and you're going to remove this clip all the way up at the top. And once you're done with that, you're going to take the bolt all the way out. And the first thing you're going to do is make that wiring connection, and the second thing you're going to do is line it up so that it stays on the post here. Now, I seem to kill one of these a year, and you see all this extra play that's in here? That's why it's reading wonky. Should be nice and tight. I'll show you when I get the new one in, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get this one out. I'll be back. Alrighty, and we're back. So now we've got the switch out. A couple of things to note. When you pop this thing in, the switch actuates this way. So you have to put the fork onto the little post, which I don't even know if you guys can see that or not. I gotta go get a flashlight. But you have to put the fork onto the post and then kind of maneuver it into position and then start the screw. Now, a couple of notes about this screw. This is a very fine thread, so you're going to be having a lot of turns and a whole lot of fun. I recommend one of these, and it's a 7mm. And then you can get it out. Just keep going. You're going to fight the spring pressure a little bit, and then at some point the switch will just kind of drop off. And being very careful not to lose the screw, just gently remove it. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, so before we go back in there, a couple of things to note. Part number is GM 135-97429. It is $8 and some change on Rock Auto. Now, this is the old one. You can get the Airtex Wells, which this is an Airtex Wells. I bought a GM replacement, and I'm just going to kind of show you the difference here. This is a year old, almost exactly to the day. Now, you see this, kind of hear it more than you can see it, but there's a little bit of play. Well, this little bit of play makes the traction control go bonkers. Now let's take a look at the genuine GM replacement. Oh look, it's still plastic, but if you note, there's no play. The other thing is, this plastic actually feels a little bit more heavy duty. I realize it's probably just a perception, but nevertheless, this is the spring. Now when you're playing with this and you're handling this, you don't want to let it snap. If you let it snap, it's just got little plastic stops, and those little plastic stops wear out, and as you let it snap around, it'll cause issues. Let me show you with the old one, because I don't want to fuck with the new one. Alright, if you do this and just let it It's really hard to do this with one hand, but you don't want to do that, okay? Little plastic stops on the inside. I don't have my original one. My original one I removed, but you can see, like this play, it doesn't affect the operation of the brake lights, but it'll affect the operation of your cruise control. And I often wonder how many times people are replacing steering wheel position sensors, and it's probably just a shitty brake pedal position sensor. Because this one will not pop up on an AutoZone scanner. You have to have a Tech 2 to actually diagnose this, and after you replace the new one, you have to calibrate it. So there's the old one. Garbage. And we'll check this. See, there's no real play with it. So this one's hopefully going to last me at least a year, hopefully longer. The factory one in the car, I mean, it made it until 2016, and this is a 2006, so it made it 10 years. The next replacement I used after that was an AirTex, and that made it about a year, and then I replaced it with another off-brand, I can't remember, and that made it a year, and then I replaced it with another AirTex, and that made it a year. You see a common thread. This is the first time I've actually got a real GM replacement switch for it. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that bad boy in, and I'll show you a little bit how that goes. I gotta go inside and get a flashlight. Deuces. All right, I'm gonna do my best to get this in focus, okay? What you have to do is get the screw started and then set that white tab. Just, I can't even get my finger up there to point to it, but it's just to the right of the steering column. Let me maneuver a little bit. See if we can't somehow magically make this work. All right, I guess the lighting's a little better. So anyway, there's a tab right here. So what you have to do is get the bolt started, and once the bolt is started, you have to line up that tab and then continue tightening the bolt. And you have pretty good access if you come around the side of the column like I've done here, and you can get it torqued 89 inch-pounds, or you're gonna do this again. And don't forget the electrical connection up at the top. Now this is just a little pop clip, so I want to show you. The trick is you get it started here. All right, so you get it started here on the post, this big shiny post right here that's probably hard to see on the video. Anyway, you get this fork on the post, and then you kind of push up here while manipulating this until you can get the screw started, just kind of like that. It's really hard to explain if you're not an aircraft mechanic. If you are an aircraft mechanic, you're going to use the fucking force, Luke. And I don't know how else to explain it. You just got to kind of feel it out, use your senses. And then after you get the bolt about halfway, line up this tab right here, pop it through the hole, make sure that it's fully seated, and you can kind of pull it this way and take some of the tension off of it while you're doing it. Move it back, move it whichever direction you need to take the tension off, so you can line that tab up. Once you get the tab lined up, you're just going to slowly tighten it while making sure that it doesn't pop out of that tab until the bolt is seated, and then you're going to torque it to 89 inch-pounds. When you're done, you're just going to put this little clip on, which, if I can find the fucking thing, I'll show you that in a minute. Alrighty, so this is the clip I was talking about, and it's grooved like so, and you just, to remove it, you pry up with a flat tip screwdriver, and it'll pop right off of the brake pedal here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reconnect it and continue. Alright, fuckers and fuckettes. As you can see, the clip is on and inserted. One more thing I want to note. There's a bushing on the inside of this, okay? Sometimes this bushing can wear out. And yes, you can get them on Rock Auto. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It was like, I think $1.50. I did it like 4 years ago. Anyway, the point is it's available. So this clip is on. You want to be really careful if you do choose to go this route that I went. And you want to make sure that you don't unseat that Teflon bushing or plastic or whatever the hell it is. I think it's nylon. But you want to make sure that you don't unseat it. Because if you do, it is a pain in the ass to get it back to right. It is doable. It is doable on the car. I don't recommend it. It is not for the faint of heart. Anyway, this whole job in and of itself, if you remove the driver's seat, literally takes, I think I've been down here about 30 minutes total, and I've just been kind of taking my time, taking a little break, etc. For those of you who are curious or have never seen it, this is your clutch pedal position sensor, and that is it. So if you get a problem and your car won't start, that's right there. And I recommend the same thing. Take your time, remove the driver's seat. For those curious, this is how I routed my wideband power source. So it's coming through there. All right. I have another harness that's coming through here. I can't remember what it's for. Probably also the wideband. This is the power for the wideband, and then this is all the rest of the shit for the wideband. So it's going through this big ass fucking plug right here, which I need to pop back into place. Okay, now it's back in place. Anyway, if you're gonna do the clutch pedal position sensor, you're pretty much gonna do exactly the same thing that I just did. However, you're gonna be fiddle fucking with this. And if you ever get to a no start situation, you can kind of sort of reach up in here and fiddle fuck with it and adjust the position of it and play with it a little bit, and you might get lucky and it'll work. I replaced that like 3 years ago. I've got a brand new one as a spare. That is a common failure item, but it is not the end of the world to replace. In fact, it's actually easier to replace than this little bastard over here that we just did, the brake pedal position sensor. Now, it's important to know, after you have replaced the brake pedal position sensor, that you have to use a Tech 2 and you have to calibrate it. I don't know if there's another scan tool that'll do it. I'm going to assume a higher end scan tool will. But I have a Tech 2, so that's what I'm going to use. We'll be back. Alright, now for the fun part. We're going to put this bastard back in. Everything's reassembled under the dash. And we're ready to continue. Yay! Alrighty guys, so now we got the seat back in place. Everything is torqued in. Make sure you use Loctite on the rear bolts. Don't forget that, it's very important. They are T50 Torx. And I can't remember what the torque is off the top of my head, but you'll have to look that part up. Anyway, moving on. Now we're going to go ahead and grab the Tech 2 and program the sensor. Alright, so I've gone ahead. I've done the programming procedure. So now that's done. And I realize that this is just a giant blurb to you guys, unfortunately. After you program it, you're going to clear the codes. Yes, I want to clear them. And the codes have cleared. Let's power cycle it. And now you can see the traction control functions. Competitive driving mode. And press and hold. Stability system off. All right. Acknowledge the message. Stability system ready. All right, guys, so that's it. We're now fully reprogrammed. Brake lights work. And everything is good. Now we're just going to take it on a little test drive, and we'll be back. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave you with a couple of closing thoughts. Number one, if you're randomly noticing that power is being pulled out of your car when you accelerate hard and you're not throwing a code, you need to get a Tech 2 and you need to get in there and see what's going on. These cars have a really bad tendency to try to kill you while you're driving them if there's a traction control issue. Number two, one of the easier ways to spot it, and the way that I caught it, is when you have cruise control on and you press the brake pedal and it doesn't disengage the cruise control, that's a pretty good indicator that you have a problem with your brake pedal position switch, the harness, or something in between the two. Number three, don't let your parking brake fly up and hit the damn dashboard. When you release the parking brake, keep your foot on it with the handle pulled gently and ride it to the top. What I have found is that every time somebody gets in the car that just releases the parking brake and lets it slam into the dash, I've got to go through this whole damn procedure. Now, I took my car to vehicle registration. They did their inspection. We're not allowed in the vehicle or anywhere near the inspector when they do the inspection. So whatever they do to it is whatever they do to it. And I didn't have this problem before, but I heard them release the brake pedal probably about 7 or 8 times throughout the whole course of the inspection. So be aware of that. If you're one of those people that constantly, you know, lets your e-brake slam into the dash, well, don't. The most surefire way that I've found every time that I've not been able to figure out why my car is pulling power when I'm at wide open throttle, it's usually either something to do with the map sensor or it's something to do with the brake pedal position sensor. If your traction control system is going haywire, it's going to pull power. So you're not going to be operating at peak power, number one. Some of you guys may not notice it, especially at stock power levels. It took me a while to figure it out. Now that I've got the cam and the heads and the Fast 102 and I've got the upgraded throttle body and all that other cool stuff, I notice it right away. So it gets me thinking and I start looking. It doesn't always throw the brake pedal position switch code right away. In fact, sometimes it'll take a couple of weeks before it actually throws. If you are lucky and have a scan tool that reads it, it'll show up as a brake pedal position switch voltage high, voltage low. Once you see that, there's no adjustment. Just go spend $8.98 or whatever it is on Rock Auto and get you a new GM replacement, or get you one of the other ones if you want to save a whole fucking dollar. Whatever it is, get it and just go do exactly what I did in this video and you'll be fine. Anyway, this is Byron. Have a nice night.